Hello and welcome to Wine.com Experiences. I'm Gwendolyn Osborn. And today we are tasting champagne, which makes me very happy because it is one of my favorites. Specifically, we will be tasting the wine of Champagne Baron de Rothschild. The four wines we are tasting from this wonderful estate are the Concordia Brut, the Blanc de Blanc, the Brut Rosé, and the special treat, the 2013 Rare Blanc de Blanc. So we will introduce our guests who will be joining us to speak about this. We have Philippe Serres de Rothschild, who is president of Champagne Baron de Rothschild and the family holdings, and also the co-president of Baron Philippe de Rothschild, Mouton Rothschild. The Rothschilds have such a wonderful long history. We also have Guillaume Lete, who's chef de cave of Champagne Baron de Rothschild. So welcome to you both. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So first I want to start with the story behind the house, the Champagne house, and your family's vision for a Grand Vin de Champagne. So Philippe, can you speak a little bit to how Champagne Baron de Rothschild house was born?
It started, I thought it was yesterday, but actually it was 20 years ago. It started 20 years ago. It actually started before that because we started discussing it, I would say at the beginning of this century, where we were all had sort of our own personal idea of, we wanted to do our own champagne. And then we all sat down around the table and said, oh, okay, let's do only one family champagne. It'll be easier for everyone. It's a common interest from everyone. The only thing is that we had never, ever, in this large, complex family, we had never done something all together. And so we said, okay, is it really a good idea? And then we said, well, hold on, we like to do new things, so let's do something new. And because champagne is something that we all liked, and we said, okay, let's put our sort of experience together and let's try and start something amusing and interesting and hopefully interesting for everyone. And that's how it started. So it really started, and the first we arrived in this region of Champagne with a couple of ideas in mind. The first is that we wanted to put our name on the champagne, so we knew that it was going to be very high quality champagne. The second thing is that we really wanted to have a family atmosphere around the champagne. I mean, it's the champagne of the family. I can talk about it at length. I mean, I've forbidden anybody to drink anything else except the champagne, to make things simple. So they all drink the champagne, which is actually very good because then they can they can have a feeling from one year to another if it's still very good and if we still improve the quality. And the third thing is that we knew that although we came from wine and wine is champagne, champagne is champagne. So we knew that we were not going to sort of plug in people from the wine region to make champagne, but we were going to be using and working with wine growers, with chef de cave, with people really from the Champagne region, because it's champagne is something very, very specific product, and you can't sort of plug in your experience and say I know how to make wine, so I can make champagne. No way. It's completely different, and it's completely different to make. It's completely different to blend. It's completely different to age. It's completely different to distribute. I mean, the whole thing's different, and I think that's one of the big characteristic of this family who's been doing many wines in many countries, is when we come into a new place. I mean, I've been working in the United States, in Napa Valley, as you know, in Chile, and each time we always say, okay, hold on, we're not at home. Let's let the people who know how to make the product locally help us, and let's work with them to make the best quality product possible, the way we like it, with a family taste.
Excellent.
And that's how it all started. And we were all very hugely worried because we all have families, and families are very difficult to get on with. We were all hugely worried, saying, are we going to get anywhere? Are we going to get anywhere? So we started step by step. And after 20 years, we're still all around the table, and nobody's pulling somebody else's hair. Nobody's hitting the other one with a book. So everything's fine. We're in a very, very good atmosphere. Everybody's very happy, and it's very constructive.
That's wonderful, because you mentioned, this is the first time that all the families have come together.
Completely the first time. We do have our own things. We do talk together, but it's really the first time that we really do a project together.
Yeah.
And without any lie, it's been a wonderful experience from day one.
And it kind of like goes to show that anything can be accomplished over champagne, right?
Excuse me?
It said if anything can be accomplished over champagne.
Yeah, but hold on. When we work, we work. We don't drink champagne.
But with the future goal of champagne. So yeah, good.
Champagne in our little corner, but when we work, we do work, and we do work quite a lot because we decided, and it was a very strong decision. We decided that everything had to be decided with the three branches. As you know, there's three branches making wine. There's my cousin Eric with his daughter Saskia at Lafitte. There's Ariane, previously Benjamin. There's Ariane with Chateau Clark, and there's us with Mouton. And we really didn't want to have two against one. No way. So whenever we have a disagreement, we have to settle it. No two against one. The majority is three, and that's it. That's the way it works. And I think it's really been working very well. Sometimes it blocks. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes it takes a little more time. And for people like Guillaume or his boss, Frédéric, it's a bit of a headache. But at the end of the day, it all works out.
Wonderful. Well, let's taste the wines. Our first wine that we're tasting is the Concordia Brut. Guillaume, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the blending for Concordia and kind of what style you're looking to achieve in this wine.
So Concordia is a blend about 60% of Chardonnay and 40% of Pinot Noir. There is around 20-25 different villages in Grand and Premier Cru in Champagne in this blend. There is important things for us is the large part of a reserve wine inside. So we are 40%. And we start to build a reserve perpetual, a system to be constant years after years in terms of quality and in terms of style.
Yeah. So you said that's 40% reserve wine, yes?
It is.
And then that's consistent, so that kind of keeps the consistency year after year.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's taste it, and maybe as we taste, tell us a little bit about the flavor profile, this style that you're looking for. Maybe touch on what you're doing with any lees aging, your choice on dosage, and all those good choices.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are looking about the freshness of the Chardonnay first. It is important to be very fine about that, with some white fruit, very delicate, and then you have the expression of the Pinot Noir behind, and makes balance between Chardonnay to help the wine to be long in mouth but still fresh. It's always the thing that we want.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's always this. I'm gonna talk for Guillaume. It's always this very complex balance between freshness and structure, and I think it's something that we really it has to be fresh because it's a product that you rejoice with, so you can't think about it too much, but at the same time it's got to have length, and so it's got to have structure, and it's the whole complexity which I'm absolutely incapable of managing. That's why Guillaume is here. And they're very nicely, they're very diplomatic with me. They very nicely invite me at the last sessions of the blending, thinking that I could sort of say something. But to tell you the truth, I'm absolutely no. I take it very seriously because I do the blending also in the wine, and I follow it very closely, and that's why I discovered that blending champagne and blending wines are two completely different things, two completely different know-how, two completely different end product. The whole thing's different. But both of them are fascinating, but the whole thing is completely different. And for champagne, the first time you do the blending, you're very surprised. It's a huge surprise. And then you sort of slowly understand what they're looking for.
Yes, I've had the privilege of once visiting Champagne and tasting some of the still wines for a blend, and I kept thinking, I don't know how anybody knows what will then happen in the bottle after the fermentation. So it's an art. It's an art.
I mean, I mean, to be very honest, I admire them very, very much. I mean, I admire the Champagne people, and I admire the wine people in Bordeaux very, very much, because they know how the product's going to turn out. I know what I like, what I don't like. I'm a classic, standard, banal consumer. So I know what I want, what I don't want. I know what I'm looking for. They know what it's going to become. I mean, it's magical. Well, what they do is really art. And I think I'm all the time. I mean, when I do these blending sessions, I listen to them more than I taste, actually. And it's always fascinating, because they can forecast what I'm absolutely incapable of forecasting.
Yeah, it's a beautiful wine. Guillaume, tell us how much are you aging this one on the lees?
Yes, so we have two aging period, very important for us. First, like still wine for us, aging élevage is very important because we take a time after the harvest to let the wine open, and at the beginning of the spring we start to test to try to understand how the vintage is, what is the best characteristic of each terroir, and how it can work together. And then we did the blend in end of April, May, so long time after the harvest, and we did the bottle in July. So we take a time at the beginning. We try to get the right moment at the harvest to get the flavors, the balance inside the grapes, to do a Grand Vin after. And then we wait minimum 4 years, minimum storage on light before start disgorgement.
Oh, wow. Well, I love that, because I have that richness from those leads. But as you mentioned, Philippe, one of the most important parts is the freshness. And it is so beautifully fresh as well.
And maybe to complete things is very important for us too, is not to match something. So for the next step, the dosage, we want to be just here to conclude the wine. So we have a low dosage in all the range. On Concordia, it's just 6 grams per liter of sugar. Means it is the limit between extra brut and brut category. So we are just here to finish and not to match nothing.
Okay, it's beautiful. And the name Concordia is slightly new, Philippe, yes?
Yes, the name Concordia is our, is the devise of the family. One of the names is Concordia Industria Integritas. Well, the three is Concordia Industria Integritas, which is the three, how do you say, slogan of the, this is what is written on the crest of the family. And since the three branches of the family dealing with wine got together, we clearly, the first thing that came to our mind is that let's use Concordia. I mean, it's very much related to the family, and it's the only project that we've really done together. So we couldn't find a better word to link it to this, to the history of the family. And it's also a beautiful word. I mean, Concordia is a soft word. It's a soft word. It's not a sort of, Industria is a little more brutal, and Integritas is a little more brutal too. Concordia, out of the three, is probably the softest and the most appealing one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So our next wine that we're tasting is the Blanc de Blanc, which of course, hence the name Blanc de Blanc. So it's 100% Chardonnay. So Guillaume, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the vineyards of where this Chardonnay is sourced.
So the Blanc de Blanc is done with the best village of Grand Cru and Premier Cru of Chardonnay from the Côte des Blancs. Start to Chouilly, go to Cramant, Avize, Auger, le Ménil-sur-Auger, and then Vertu. So it is a historical place for the Chardonnay, a very shorty place, and the vines are very old in that place too, and mainly in soft exposition. So we selected this characteristic to have something very delicate, very fine, very focused on the minerality, and and then we have always same rule, huh? 60% of wine of the years and 40% of reserve wine.
Okay.
The thing is, we had another complexity inside this blend because we have a part of barrel, a 5% minimum. We have a concrete egg to be very close to the terroir, to the plots, and we manage the selection between the warm or cold condition. It depends of the years to try to find the right balance.
Oh, it's wonderful. So you have some barrel, 5%, you said, and then the
5%,
concrete
yes.
egg. And do you do any stainless steel, or are those the two?
Yeah.
Just
We
concrete egg and barrel.
Yes, it is something just not to be too present, but it's something to try to get more deeper inside, to try to get the complexity, and uh, and we have the same philosophy about the dosage. It's very low. It's just 6 grams per liter. We keep the bottle 4 years minimum, and it makes wine focus, in exotic character, citrus, in same times in first nose, but you can find the short minerality of Grand Cru Village like Avis, or soft hint of a silex like a Ménil-sur-Roger. So it's fine, but in complex in same times.
Yes, and it's reflecting that sense of place, which is so important.
So in terms of we always think about a link between past, present, and future, and the role of the reserve part is very important for that. We have the reserve perpetuel, and then we have some terroir pur that we keep in stainless steel or in barrel for his own characteristic. And then we bring back when is needed to add some spicy like in the cook to be very constant years after years.
Year after year. It's beautiful. And what about for the Brut and this and even the rosé of aging? How does it evolve over the years for aging these?
I think it will be more complex after years, still fresh, but a little bit more complex.
Guillaume doesn't tell you, but Chardonnay is more difficult to age than any other varietal. It needs aging, and the fact that we have that such high percentage of Chardonnay even in the Brut forces us to age a minimum of 4 years. The Blanc de Blanc more, but it's something we decided to do from the beginning, because in terms of having many bottles in storage is quite huge. It's a big management of a huge number of bottles, but we sincerely believe that aging this Chardonnay is hugely important, whether in the Brut, in the Blanc de Blanc, or even in the Rosé. We'll come back on the Rosé in a minute, because it's a special Rosé for a couple of reasons, but we'll come back on it in a second.
Well, let's move to. I'm ready for the rosé. Let's do this. Yes, pink rosé.
Never a dull moment. Absolutely. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. So here we are at the rosé, and obviously we were just on 100% Chardonnay. So tell us a little bit about the blend here in the rosé.
Yes, it's a blend very typical in Champagne. It's very important for us to stay focused on Chardonnay. So it is something that we want, and years after years, we try to select the best plot for doing our own red vinification. We did like a maceration, cold maceration, just to extract the flavor, the color, but not the tannic structure. We just want to have something very focused on red food, very fresh, because we select the same cru like the Blanc de Blanc, and we want to make it just a red touch inside the Chardonnay style. So it's something very unusual, I could say, about that. Just a light color and Chardonnay style with a red touch inside.
And what did you say the percentage was for Chardonnay to Pinot?
Yeah, it's 94% of Chardonnay, 94% of Chardonnay,
Wow.
and 6% of Pinot Noir inside.
More Blanc de Blanc rosé than anything else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not typical, is it?
Yeah,
Most-
it is.
Far from being typical. And the other untypical thing is, and I can let Guillaume talk about it. The other untypical thing is that we do our own red wine.
Yeah.
You know, we will not let anybody else touch anything that resemble red wines when you're in this family. So we said, no. We said to Guillaume, hold on, Guillaume, we do our own red wine. And we do our own. It's a tiny production, obviously, because we don't need that much for the rosé. So it's a tiny production. Everybody said we were completely crazy, but that's not the first day we were crazy. So, you know, everything's fine. Everybody said you're crazy to do that in such small quantity. And we said, yeah, but red wine is red wine. It's where we come from. So nobody else is red wine except end of story. So they still think we're crazy, but you know, that's the way it goes.
It's okay. Sometimes crazy does the most magical things. So this is, like you said, it's almost like a Blanc de Blanc with just a splash of color to it. So how does that, like, as we taste that, how is the Chardonnay kind of showing through as opposed to what you might typically imagine in a Champagne rosé? Do either of you want to?
So in terms of style,
I'll let Guillaume talk and then I'll give my own opinion afterwards.
in terms of style, we want to be focused on minerality with the short key and the citrus present in us, but we add some touch of fresh strawberry, blackberry behind. And then it's still fresh in mouth. You will feel the texture of the Chardonnay, a little bit creamy sometimes, and then we go more deeper at the end with some warm, spicy, but still fresh, still drinkable. I think it's important on this wine to be very drinkable. Because he don't need anything else. He could be alone, and it is something very easy to go, but you can pair with the food in same time. So because it's complex, so that's the philosophy about that.
I can definitely say it's drinkable. So yes, I fully support that. Yeah.
I would completely agree with what Guillaume said. I'll just add that it has tension. Tense.
Yeah.
It wakes you up, which I like very much. It sort of you know brings your senses,
Yeah.
and it's really sort of you say, oh, what is this? And I think it's the tension they managed to get into this rosé, which is absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I love that. It's kind of that zip, that zippiness that comes through, and it's very unique. I love that. And you also make vintage champagne. So we're going to move on to the rare. It's a little treat, the 2013 Rare Collection Blanc de Blanc. Philippe, maybe you can tell us a little bit about making these exceptional vintage champagnes.
The Rare Collection is really something that brings us back to our roots. Very clearly, because as you know, we are We are wine people. We are aging wine people. We are vintage wine people. And we always knew from the beginning, when we started to do the champagne, we did the Brut and then the Blanc, the Rosé. And we knew that we would focus on a vintage at one point, at the beginning. And but we wanted to work first on the Brut and on the Blanc, the Rosé, just to understand the region, to understand better champagne and everything. And then we said, okay, now we have to do our vintage wine, our vintage champagne, because it's really who we are. We are people from the land. We are people that make wines that age. Vintages, all the vintages are fascinating. Some better than others, but they're all fascinating. They all have a story to tell about the terroir, and that's why we really said, okay, we really have to do this vintage. It's rare because it is rare, so we make a very tiny quantity of it. I even have to negotiate with Guillaume for, and Frédéric for a long time to get a couple of bottles or cases. I manage. I'm trying to be persuasive. And no, it's a fantastic champagne. And it's really, we're back to our roots. We're back to who we are, a family of aging vintage wines, which are probably the best wines in the world. And I can say it because they were the best wines before me and they'll be the best wines after me. So everything's fine. And I think that's really something that we are emotional about, because we wanted to go to Champagne, but we didn't want to stay too far away from our roots, because we are, and that's why we take huge care about this recollection. And it comes out, and Guillaume can tell you, it comes out only when the family has tasted it. And that's very important. We taste it, we say, yes, it's nice, or well, let's keep it another year or whatever. And so we're very close to that. Not that we're not close to the others, but we're very close in terms of, winemaking roots.
Yeah.
Champagne.
Reflecting the year that comes from. So this one is 2013.
Yes.
Guillaume, can you speak a little bit to 2013 as a vintage year?
2013 is a wonderful vintage in Champagne, because it's a vintage like in Champagne in the past, a cold vintage with a slow maturation during September and harvest beginning of October in cold condition. So make a wine very concentrate, very deeper in terms of freshness. And so we are very happy about this kind of vintage, and it's for recollection a blend about 4 Grand Cru village: Raman, Avize, Auger, Menil-sur-Auger. It's very exclusive production because it's just 1.5 hectare of vines, so it means very small. It's almost maybe 10,000 bottles and just 1,000 magnums. So it's very small, exclusive. So we select a plot middle of the slope in soft exposition to get the concentration. And after that, we did a part of vinification in oak, 5 and 6 hectoliters of barrel, very well selected about that. And then we take the time, long times, 8 years minimum, and we work on the disgorgement to have the integrity of the wine with the very low dosage. It's 4 grams per liter, so it makes wine very powerful, but still mineral and still complex in dry fruit, in fresh almond, in first nose, and it gets more deeper inside the tasting after.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly the aging is very thorough. I mean, it's just my youngest daughter is a vintage 2013 and she's 11. So the idea that that's how long ago these grapes were were picked and the process through that is kind of a testament to the quality and passion and dedication to making the sure the wine is, I guess, perfect, and that's why it's so rare. Right. Well, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think you mentioned also, so there is also a rare rosé as well, also very small production.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
And then now we're going to, I'll let Guillaume talk about it. We do rosé now. Yes.
Yes, rare rosé. Yeah. Well, those are beautiful. Hopefully I will be able to one day find some for myself.
Yeah.
But you mentioned this, one, just again, the coming together 20 years ago to go into Champagne as this family venture, and you're about to celebrate the 20th anniversary of this mission. And obviously, it's a testament to quality and all of the wineries that come from the Rothschild family and has been put into this house of Champagne. What about more projects or perspectives in the coming years? Is there anything to build upon or venture into? And
we are, well, first of all, as you know, as you don't know, but as you will know, so we started to buy some acres in Champagne. So it took us a lot of time because we didn't want to buy too quickly. We wanted to know the different terroirs. We wanted to understand the different terroirs. And obviously Guillaume and Frédéric helped us a lot to understand who was where and who was doing what. It's a very, Champagne region is a very, very, very well organized region, but complex at the same time. So we really had to find the plots of land that we really liked, and buying land in Champagne is not easy because everybody grabs it when it's up for sale. So you have to be quite fast. But again, it's also our roots. We are people from the land. We are people from the terroir. We are people from, it happens in the earth and underground. And so there was no way where we couldn't develop for the years to come other champagnes without investing in the terroir, in the land. And also to show, if need be, that we were there for the long term. And so we started to buy bit by bit, and now we have, I think, 7 or 8 hectares, which is what, 15 or 16 acres, if my calculation is right. So we are starting from there, looking at new projects. Projects we will not be, now we're not looking at, making a new brut or making, but we clearly are going, slowly up the ladder. And we are looking at special cuvée here, special cuvée there, which corresponds to the land that we've acquired. So we are thinking about all these things. Clearly, we have many very amusing projects, but they are going along. But all of them are turning around the rare collection and vintage wines, and special terroir wines, special parcel wines. And that's what we're actively working on, which is actually, to be honest with you, hugely exciting. Because we really sort of, as we go along, we are staying deep down in Champagne, but slowly at the same time going back to our roots. So it's a very, very sort of, it's a great marriage between the two. And it just makes this project more and more fascinating as we go along. And we can do it now. To be very honest with you, we can think of these, very high level products and very special cuvée because we've invested in these new buildings. As you know, there's one conditioning building which is finished, and Guillaume has done a fantastic job on that. I mean, I will keep quiet and let him talk. And then the other building, which is the building in Vertu, which is where all the blending and all the vat and all the barrels happened. And also, without that building, we would never be able to think about these new high-scale cuvées. Guillaume, your turn.
Just tell us about the building.
What?
I asked him to tell us about the building you referred to.
Yes, we have done the first step was to have some sustainable installation for the production. So we are thinking about that to integrate inside the landscape of Champagne and to be very sustainable in terms of energy without impact of our production. It was something very important for us, and it was something to be very precise for the wine and for the men to work inside in very good condition, and to be very, very precise for the bottle. It was something very important for the family and for us. And then we have the other project with something very wonderful to renovate all the bâtiment was there in Champagne since 19th century, and we want to have lot of tank inside. We want to work a lot with gravity and to be able to obtain the best quality for our Grand Vin Champagne. So it was the next step. We did the first harvest in the building this year. It was wonderful, and we will finish all in 25. So for the 20 years of the story of Baron Rothschild Champagne, I think it's something unique.
Yes, definitely. I've always enjoyed this champagne, but it's been a delight to taste the Blanc de Blanc and Rosé. And I appreciate you being here. I love what you're doing. I'm glad it's been 20 years and you're going to keep investing and promoting and making these delicious and delightful wines. So I appreciate your time and expertise. Is there anything you wanted to add, Philippe?
Yes, but if you start asking that question, you might be there for another 20 minutes. No, I think the great thing is, thank you very much. I always love to talk about the champagne, and I'm flying away to Canada tomorrow morning to talk about the champagne for another 3 days. So it's always a pleasure to talk about it, and really it's just an ongoing process. And what is fascinating is that all the stars are aligned for us to keep on discovering new products, discovering new terroir in this magnificent Champagne region, and producing these magnificent cuvées for people who love champagne. And the more we can delight people with new champagnes, with new experiences, we'll keep going.
Fantastic. Well, here's to being delighted with champagne as much as possible. Thank you so much, and cheers.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.